Good afternoon, YouTube. Welcome back to my channel. So it is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. And I know the month is almost over with, but I'm just here to share my story. So I'm 17 years old. I get pregnant. My parents find out and they're like, no ma'am, you will not be living here unmarried with a baby. So I let the person know, and I guess there was talk amongst my family and his family, our parents, and his parents were like, well, yeah, she can come live here, but two things have to happen. One, she has to finish high school, and they cannot be unmarried living in the same bedroom. So we're like, okay, we'll just get married. So back in those days, and it might still happen today, if you were under the age of 18, your parents had to sign a parental consent form. So my parents signed the form. Like I said, I was 17. I think we got married when I was 18. So at that time, I was about 4 months pregnant. And so we just went down to the Justice of the Peace, the courthouse, and got married. So everything is going on. I'm going to high school, and he's working, but he worked like a month or two, and then he'd get fired or he'd leave. So we're just still living life. I have my baby, and like I said, we're just still living life, and people are helping us. Like my parents are helping buy diapers, and his parents are helping buy diapers. Fortunately, my baby didn't have to have formula. Well, she did at some point, but for the most part, she was on breast milk. So I didn't have to have formula then. So like I said, we're going on, living life. Nobody's working. Of course, I just had a baby, so I'm not working, and he's just loafing around. So, we're living with his parents, and we're just going about our daily lives. Now, mind you, when we got married, I heard somebody say this in their video, I had the notion in my mind of the house with the white picket fence and my children. Not necessarily a dog, but, I had this notion that that's the life that we would live. So, needless to say, that never happened. But we're just living life. My baby gets to be about 5 or 6 months old. And since he's not working, people are telling us, well, y'all are married. Somebody's going to have to work. You can't just stay somewhere for free. Diapers are not free. Y'all need to pitch in and help because y'all have a baby and you're married, and, you need to come together and do this. So eventually I got a job in a bank, and I was working that job. Like I said, I didn't have a whole lot of skills. I just graduated high school. So my skills were kind of minimal, but I got this job in a bank, and things are going good so far. Eventually we move out of his parents' house, and we get our own place. Well, this one particular day, I think we had been talking about getting furniture because we didn't have furniture at our house. So we had maybe gone to Rent-A-Center, and we looked at some furniture, and we were like, yeah, okay, well, when I get paid, we'll go and put the deposit down, because that's all you have to do, just put a deposit down. So the time comes, and I get paid, and he calls me, and he's like, yeah, I need that money so I can go ahead and put the deposit down on the furniture. So when you get home, you'll have some place to sit. So I was like, okay, just come and get the money. Now, mind you, I think I gave him like $450, $500. And I'm just thinking, okay, when I go home, we're going to have some new furniture. So he comes and gets the money, and about a couple hours later, he calls me and tells me that he lost the money. I was like, you lost the money? You lost $450? And he was like, yeah. I was like, well, where were you? Can you go back and try to find it? I mean, retrace your steps. And he's like, I looked all through my pants and whatever. I can't find it. I lost it. I must have lost it on the bus and somebody picked it up or whatever. And I'm like, oh my God. So he proceeds to tell me, just go to the store, fill out a claim, tell them you lost the money order, and they should be able to give you the money back, reimburse you. So mind you, during this time, I call my dad, and he's like, he lost money. And I said, yeah. He's like, I could hear it in his voice, like, okay, yeah, right. So I filed the claim, and at this point, they're telling me, ma'am, you're probably not going to get your money back, for whatever reason. So I was like, dang. So that happened. That was the first thing that happened. And like the second thing that happened was I'm still working at the bank. I'm calling home one day like I normally do, and the phone is just ringing. I mean, ringing. Like for an hour, I called him. He didn't pick up the phone. So I tell my supervisor, I'm like, I got to go home. There's something wrong at my house. Nobody's answering the phone. And he's like, okay. So it would take me like 30 minutes to get from my job to where we lived. So I arrive at home and walk in, and my baby, she's in her crib, and she's, standing up in her crib. She's got her hands on the rail, and she's just, bouncing up and down in the crib. And I walk around, I'm like, he's not even here. I'm like, so finally he arrives home, and I'm like, well, where were you? Why you leave my baby home like that? And this, that, and the other. And I think he smacks me across my face and told me, you don't ask where I've been. The baby's okay. She wasn't crying. I wasn't very far. At any point in time, I could have came in and she's fine. She's not crying. So I don't know why you came home. You didn't have no business leaving, and I know how to take care of a baby and just all this stuff. So I was like, okay. And I think I worked that job for maybe a month or two more, and I got fired because it was always something. I couldn't go to work because of this, or my baby was sick, or I would have to leave to get up. I would get ready to get up and go to work, but he wasn't there. So it was just a lot. I had to quit that job. So during that time, my parents had bought my baby a TV. Now, like I said, she's 6 months old. She don't know what a television show is, to save her soul. So it was a 13-inch black and white TV. Probably cost all of $50. And I come home from work one day, and the TV's not there. I'm like, where's the TV? He said, oh, I had to sell it. I had to pay a bill. And I'm like, you sold a TV that my dad bought for the baby? And he was like, yeah. So I was like, I mean, I was so, I think back now, and I was just so dumb. Like, you could have told me sky was green and I could have believed it, but I was just what you want to call in love. But I was just being dumb. Anything that he told me, I believed it, whether it was true or not, whether how crazy it sounded, I just believed it. So those things happened, and then I think we probably got kicked out or whatever, so we went back to his parents' place. Now, mind you, during the time that we lived with his parents, except for maybe the last couple months, he never he would never put his hands on me in front of the family. He would talk crazy to me and threaten me, but he never put hands on me. So and during this time, people were buying me stuff. Christmas had happened, and I needed clothes for work, so people were buying me, just little outfits or giving me, whatever. So it was Christmas time, and one of my siblings had bought me a sweater. I love that sweater so much. It came from the Gap. It was a navy blue cable knit sweater, just really nice. So I had wore the sweater to work that day. So when I got home, we were arguing about something, and it was hanging on in the closet. So he took it out of the closet, and he's holding the sweater, by the collar. And he was asking me something to the fact of, is this sweater important to you? Why you like this sweater so much? And I was like, I just like the color. It's a comfortable sweater. So he had a pair of scissors in his hand, and so he's holding the sweater. So he just starts cutting up the sweater. And I'm like, why are you cutting up my sweater? I'm kind of yelling, why are you cutting up my sweater? And I'm crying. And he was like, this sweater, I think he called it a piece of S or something like that. Your sibling gave you this sweater. This sweater is nothing, means nothing to me. That's why I'm gonna take it, and you're not gonna get to wear it no more. And I'm crying and carrying on, just mad because he done cut up something that he didn't even buy. He was the type of person, if people showed any kind of niceness to me, if they would buy me stuff or give me things, anything of value, he didn't like that. So he was going to tear it up, break it, do something to it to where I wouldn't have it anymore. So that's what he did with the sweater and the TV and many other things that I acquired that he didn't want me to have. So he was mean in that way. He just didn't like the fact that I had people who supported me. So no, he didn't like that. So life goes on. Like I said, I had to leave the bank because of my attendance and stuff like that. Well, I got another job working in a high school in the office. No, that wasn't it. I got a job as a maid in a hotel. And this was a really nice hotel, was ritzy, swanky. I mean, one of the best hotels here in Denver. And I got a job there. And I'm working as a maid. Now, maid work is hard. You got to do, you got to clean. These rooms were big. These were regal rooms, just huge rooms. And this was the kind of hotel where they did the white glove test, which I failed a lot. But I say that to say, there was women who had worked there for years, 20, 30 years. And here I am, 18 years old. I'm trying to get the gist of the job, and I'm failing. And yeah, I'm just not doing good. So there was this guy who worked there, and I guess he could see the sadness on my face or whatever. So he would ask me to lunch every day. So I'd go to lunch. I mean, it was innocent to me, because he told me he was married and everything, and I guess I didn't see nothing wrong with it. He never tried to make a pass at me or anything, never asked for my phone number or whatever, nothing like that. So one day my husband comes to my job, and I guess me and the guy were just finishing lunch. We're walking in different directions, and my husband's like, who is that? I'm like, oh, just some guy, we eat lunch every day. And he was like, my husband was like, yeah, He was like, don't let him get you effed up. And I'm like, he's not even interested in me. He's married. He's got children, and we just eat lunch together. That's it. My husband was like, yeah, remember what I said. So eventually I had to quit that job because it was just too much on my body. I would have to work these long hours and then go home and take care of a baby, and it was just too much for me. So I had to quit that job. So I eventually got another job in the office of the high school. So I'm working that job, and I like it. It's going really well. And I think during this time we moved out again, and we moved to what they call the West Side. And the West Side is nowhere near where I worked. It's opposite of where I lived. And there was a whole bunch of Hispanic people that lived over there. Now I'm not opposed to that. Where we lived was pretty nice, but it was just the area. So we lived there for a little while, and eventually I left that job. When you work at a place and you're living with somebody who is putting their hands on you, or at that time he wasn't putting his hands on me, but they are mentally abusing you and they're verbally abusing you, your body goes through a phase of where you just can't really do anything. Your mind is so messed up. You can't even think straight, really. So we move over there, and I'm thinking things are going okay. He was working for a little while, but eventually I guess he got fired or whatever. So then we had to move back with his parents. And at this time, people are looking like, he can't hold a job. You try to work, but something happens to where you have to leave your job. What's going on? So people are not putting it together then. So we go back to his parents' house, and one night we are arguing, I guess, and he got really, really mad at me, and like his face, just like he had this look in his face, in his eyes. I knew that he like looked like a different person. So when his face changed, I knew that something bad was going to happen. So he had his hands down to his side, and he balls up his fists, and he just starts charging at me. So I try to get out the way, and I think he hits me in my eye. So I break down crying. He's yelling at me. I think in the process, he choked me. And when he choked me, I let out a scream, and everybody just like came running. What's wrong? What's wrong? And he is like standing over me, just yelling, and still got his fist balled. And I mean, it was bad. Like, the police had to be called. They called my parents. I'm upset. He's still mad. It was horrible. It was one of the worst days of my life. So I'm going to end the video here, and I'm going to tell the rest of the story in the next video. So stay tuned. Costs nothing to be kind. I'll see y'all shortly. Bye.